Good evening, everybody. This is Coco, and welcome to Torment Tides of Numenera. Let's try this again. I tried to stream this not too long ago, and for some reason, it wasn't working to stream. But I guess we're back now. Yeah, we haven't played this game in a while, and actually glad I'm getting back into it. And we are going to continue where we left off. So yeah, it's a very exciting game, a very indie game, and yeah, let's take it where we just left off. What up? What up? Welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and continue then. I don't recall much from what we did last time, but it should be fine. It should be fine. There's a lot of reading, but that's okay because I love the lore. And this game is one of those games that will have a lot of information thrown at us. And that's perfectly fine by me. Not dead yet. Yes. Alright, let's go ahead and let's interact.
Yes, now.
Sunlight falls through the ragged hole in the roof onto the shattered resonance chamber. It is hard to believe that you did this, that you plummeted through the curve of the pale blue sky, crashed through the dome, and broke this delicate machine with your own body. It is hard to believe that you are still alive. Four mechanical arms hang over the center of the device above the cracked semi-transparent crystal of the sarcophagus. The fifth arm lies broken on the floor among the scattered synth and crystal shards, and a metal ring surrounds the array, dented and broken by your impact crater. So now we have different options here. Let's examine the shards on the ground. Jagged fragments of crystal are intermingled with synth from the shattered dome above. The crystal shards glitter in the light like captive suns. Let's pick up one of the crystal shards. At the rim of the crater you find a sliver of crystal, sharp as a dagger on one end and smooth on the other. It might make a usable, if somewhat crude, weapon. Let's see what it does. Okay. So now we gain an item. Now we could look for other useful shards, but let's take a closer look at the sarcophagus. Yeah. The padded interior beneath the coffin's cracked lid looks like it was made for a human body. Despite the damage, you don't see any way to open it and get inside. You glance between the sarcophagus and the needle, like protrusions at the end of the arms above. It seems likely that using this chamber would not be a pleasant experience, so we'll leave that be. Let's examine the suspended arms. Cables run from machines along the dome's walls to the base of the suspended arms, each of which is capped with long needles, aimed at the cracked coffin-like chamber at the center of the platform. Gem-like lights flicker dimly at the bases of the arms. Okay, now let's inspect the metal ring. You feel the slightest hint of resistance every time you cross the ring, and now that you're paying attention, you know that your breath is echoing in your ears, as though you were inside a glass dome. When you step outside the ring, the feeling passes. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can find any other shards. You sort through the remaining pieces of crystal, but they are too small or too unwieldy to be of any use. Alright, let's look at the sarcophagus. It may be your imagination, but some of the cracks in the crystal seem shallower than they were before. Let's look at them again. Nothing. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. We've exhausted the dialogue. Let's step away now.
I'm going.
mechanical arm lies on the floor, presumably broken during your fall. Sparks pour from the arm, shattering housing, filling the air with a greasy stench. Lore, machinery, quick fingers. Attempt to scavenge what you can from the arm's housing. Let's use this one. Okay, tutorial effort. If you select a companion's portrait in the effort window, they can assist the last cast off with some challenges. Your companion's stat pools are used instead of your own, and they may have different skills, abilities, and statistics that make the challenge easier. Companions cannot assist in a crisis and can only use their stats during their turn. Let's continue. So we can either use let's use my boy right here. Let's confirm it. Oh, he failed. Inside the broken machine, you notice some little trinkets and small coin-like objects. You recognize their value at once. Such objects would be acceptable as shins, the informal currencies in most regions of the world. Unfortunately, you're only able to retrieve a few of them. You can't seem to dislodge the others. Gain 5 shins. Right, we didn't get lucky that time, but that's alright. Let's examine the housing. The sharply pointed apparatus that formerly topped the device appears burnt out and useless, but the equipment in the base remains at least somewhat operational, as the constant stream of sizzling motes can attest. Let's examine it one more time. Nope. Fine. Let's check this right here. Broken fragments of the domed ceiling are scattered on the floor. They appear to be made of transparent synth. Okay, nothing else we can do there. Oh, we could probably pick this up.
Let's go.
This is Shin, which is pretty much the currency. Shins are usually metal, but can be made of glass, plastic, or substances that have no name. Some are jagged bits of interesting material or small coin-like objects, such as highly decorative buttons from a machine, while others are properly minted and stamped with writing and images. We're taking that bitch. This is encephalic rush. This pliable synth container is tightly sealed, holding a swirling purple gas. The purple substance is harvested from a vast structure buried beneath the sands of the beyond, which seems to constantly replenish, though it is hard to gather. If the container is jammed hard against a surface, it becomes permeable, unleashing the gas within. The original purpose of the gas is not known, but when inhaled by a human, it provides a rush of mental energy. We're gonna take that bitch, and this is Fleetfoot moss. This moss-covered pebble looks almost ordinary, and if it were lying on the ground, it would be difficult to spot, but the moss shifts in unexpected ways, and the pebble vibrates as it does. If held against the skin, the moss latches on and it is absorbed, providing powerful resuscitating energies. Ooh, that's gonna come in handy. These pebbles are found by diving into the waters around Saga's cliffs, perhaps grown by an unknown interaction with the surrounding Numenera. We're taking that. So we can exit that way, I believe. Let's go ahead and interact with this.
I'm going.
A slate black, unimpressive device bunkers before you. As you reach out to touch it, the triangle of lights on its casing blazes into life, and an image unfolds in your mind. The towering crystal arch rises over a jagged gray landscape. The air is dead and stifling, and there, at its emerald peak, the image collapses, leaving you staring into the device's triangular array of lights. Command me, the device, or the intelligence within it, says each word carefully etched with distaste. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to it. Who are you? Your command was not understood. The intelligence says with clear satisfaction, sounding for all the world like it understood the question, but is choosing not to answer. Command me. Let's ask what was that arch you showed me? The intelligence chuckles, its lights pulsing. Command me. Bitch? What commands do you recognize? The three lights throb irritably. Heated air sighs from the device vents, and then a towering list of commands races through your mind. Far too fast to read. You rub your eyes, groaning, and the intelligence quarrels. Command me, it says smugly. So yeah, we can either do smashing, kick the device as hard as you can. Let's go ahead, let's try that out. Oh my god. Let's try her because you know we haven't tried her yet. Skill, smashing, trained. Let's try him again. He failed this once, but let's try him again. The innocent whistling drifting from the intelligence inner should have given you a clue. Your toes smash into an invisible barrier in the air. Clearly, it saw you coming this time. Try one might. Aim another kick at the device. Before I do that, let's go ahead. Let's go the pacifist way. Show me the arch again. The device triangle of light throbs in time with the growl of the engines within its casing, and the mental image unfolds once more. You see a huge crystalline arch on a jagged field. The arch is divided into rectangular cells, all of which are numbered, and they all appear to be transparent and empty, except at the arch's pinnacle, one cell is lit in a brilliant pulsating emerald. The number 0 is printed on its inside. Aha. Anamnesis. Try to remember more details about this strange place. I'm gonna use myself. You scan the arch, the landscape, and for a moment you almost grasp the memory and hear a dry voice speaking a command, but the buzzing hum of the intelligence engines prove too distracting. The memory is gone. You'll have to pry the memory from the device grasp some other way. Okay. Dry grit whirls across the empty plain. Many kilometers beyond the arch is the faint outline of what seems to be a broken tower, except that it is slowly stretching into the gray air. Let's examine it again. Nothing. Bullshit. Okay. Let's examine the outside of the device. An indignant hum rises from the intelligence engines as you examine its ancient casing. Alright, let's try it one more time and see what happens. Okay, I guess it won't let us do anything else. We can go ahead and check this right there. But before we do that, let me see, we can't go through here. Yep, that's blocked. Let's check this other device over here. Tiny glowing modes float through the interior of this tower. Each one is surrounded by much smaller modes, like thousands of worlds circling. What? Circling their suns. Okay. Well, this machine is not going to cooperate with us, so we'll leave it be. We can try. We haven't tried her yet.
Yes. Now.
Let's try her. Success. Yes. The intelligence lights flutter in alarm just before your foot smashes into the base of the device. Something within goes crunch. Cell getting damaged. It gasps. The trio of lights focusing on you with blinding intensity. All prisoners lost. Shuddering Lagamvo. A hatch spring opens near the dent left by your foot, and the lights flicker off as you claim a hissing component from the device's smoking interior. The shard of glass displays an image of three strangely garbed children in a field. A sequence of them playing a simple ball game repeats itself. After repeated viewings, you notice a small child standing further away in the field. This fourth child is looking directly at you. Her large eyes brim with fear. Well, you planning on breaking every machine in here? Sorry, it's just that he was being a little douche. The flexible tubes that are attached to this machine appear to be later additions. Someone cobbled the device together, but its function is unclear. Alright, nothing else we can do here, so let's go ahead and step out of the dome.
Fine.
That was interesting. It's all coming back to me now. Let's see how it goes. So far so good. I like the graphics.
I need to talk to you.
Who? Who has to talk to me? Are those enemies? They can't be enemies. Let's go ahead and loot first. Shin. This we haven't seen before. Hold on. Elutriated force. This crystal pulses with vibrant energy, softly expanding and contracting as if breathing in and out. A needle protrudes from the crystal center. If inserted into a vein, the crystal's pulsing energy can be absorbed to increase the user's physical stamina and muscle mass for a short time. These crystals are purified from a murky liquid found rarely in Gravia Sound. Their origin is unknown, and the process to harvest them without destroying the active substance is difficult, but the supply appears plentiful. Alright. Let's go ahead and see what is this.
Yes.
Two floating cones whirl and spin deliriously around each other, giggling like children being tickled. The air around them smells of sweet burning leaves. What are you? The cones continue whirling and laughing like enraptured dancers, giving no sign that they've heard you. Watch them for patterns. The longer you stare at these artifacts, the more you're convinced that they turn faster when their spiraling paths cross each other. Lore, mystical. Their edges seem to trace faint glowing lines that twine around each other, resembling a rope fastened to some invisible point beyond this time and place. We got 2 XP. Okay, let's go ahead and touch cones. Let's try him. Well, stat pool spent on effort restored. You managed to graze one of them with the tip of your finger. Lorn, a voice says, and your vision is stolen from you. A moon hangs over you, but it is not the one you recognize. It's black and in a pearl white sky. Thick, flat asteroids orbit it like petals in the wind. You feel questing tendrils at your ankle, and the hot wind on your face smells of scorched hair and grief. The vision returns, the cones hang motionless for only a second before resuming their giggling dance. Alright, I guess we'll leave them be. We can either go up those stairs, continue through that path. There's nothing more on this side. Let's go up the stairs. Oh wait, hold on. What is this?
Let's go.
Oh wait, I can't interact with it, can I?
Let's go.
A tangled cluster of metallic tendrils grows from the depths of the nearby water. Strangely, they resemble clawed alien hands, most of which have 7 or 8 fingers. Examine the cluster. The hands sway softly, but their movements are difficult to follow. Watching them for too long makes you feel nauseous. A Apart from the hands themselves, you don't notice anything of interest in the cluster. Okay, so I can't hit that. Let's see. He could do it probably. Let's try it out. You grip the hand nearest to you and snap it from its roots. Stepping back, you give it a couple of experimental swings. Good balance. It might make a decent weapon. Gained item, 8-fingered mace. This metallic object resembles a clenched 8-fingered hand attached to a forearm. You snapped it off a metallic tendril in the reef of fallen worlds. It has a decent heft and balance, and its steely material is powerful enough to deal significant damage, but it's only a makeshift weapon and is somewhat clumsy to use. Alright, let's try to pull another hand. You wrap your hands around one of the wrists and pull with all your strength. Eventually, gasping, you give up. The tendrils seem thicker and stronger now, as if they fortified themselves against you. Damn, they got smart. Let's go up these stairs and see what else is up here. Okay. A yawning intake marks the front of a long dead construct. Inside, the metal is pitted black and ancient. So it leads us to the same place. I just want to make sure I check all my options before I continue.
Let's go.
A bubbling mass of sludge floats on the surface of the water. Every once in a while, an oily nodule separates from it, and it hurtles into the sky. You catch momentary glimpses of a mud-coated object in the putrid mass. Let's examine it first. Carefully, you lean closer to the heaving mass. After a moment's study, you notice that the globules rising into the sky always contain something, be it a shining core of an untamed seawater or a tiny fish. Quick fingers perception, attempt to retrieve the object trapped in the sludge. Ciphers. You found the cipher. Ciphers are Numenera objects that can trigger a powerful effect but can only be used once. Ciphers and your cipher limit score are displayed in a special section of the inventory screen. Take care not to accumulate more ciphers than your cipher limit, or you will experience unpleasant side effects. Oof. Okay, I guess that's the number 8 that I have on the lower left corner. The next time sunlight strikes the object's streaked surface, you're ready. You snatch it from the oily mass and clean it as best as you can. Gained item, fresh vapors. Heals 10 points of intellect and confers fresh vapors +1 intellect edge. A simmering jar made of metallic glass. Inside the jar rests a strange miasma. Its vapors sit crystalline and perfectly still until held. The glass vessel twists and writhes when grasped. When you put your ear to the device and listen closely, sounds of weeping and hysterical laughter rise from within. Warm to the touch, once inhaled, the vessel becomes ice cold. The user feels panic, fear, nausea, and then sweet relief, a torrent of emotions, aching to getting a full rest. Damn. Some mindfuckery right here. Can I search for more objects? No. Okay. A cable connects the spout to the collection device. The nozzle looks like it may have been attached to another machine at one time. So there's definitely a house on this side. So go ahead and...
Yes.
Shin. We have... Oh, we didn't see this before, did we? Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, guys. Some bullshit right now. I don't know, somehow a mosquito got into my room, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's continue on with the adventure. So I think we pick something up like this before? Yes, we did pick this up before. You picked up some items and equipment. To make full use of them, you will need to view them, equip them, or share them between your party members. To view your inventory, press up. Your inventory lets you view, equip, and manage items and equipment you find. It has a number of sections. The first is equipment, which contains any items equipped to the current character. Equipment includes melee and ranged weapons, shields, armor, ornaments such as rings and amulets, and bonded items. Your backpack contains the items being carried by the current character. You can equip, inspect, or transfer items from it. Quest items contain any special items required for quests. Quest items cannot be discarded or sold, so you won't need to worry about accidentally losing one. The final section shows the ciphers you are carrying and your cipher limit. Ciphers shown in the inner rings are highlighted in blue and are safe to carry. Those on the outer ring, highlighted in orange, are over your cipher limit and inflict negative effects as long as you're carrying them. You can use, sell, discard, or transfer them to another party member to get back under your cipher limit. Okay, so we're good. We'll leave that be. Oh shit, what did I do? Okay. So we can use either this weapon or this weapon. I'm gonna use this one. Medium melee. So these items, okay. I want to give this, how do I give this again? Transfer item. Let's give this to him. Okay. So I think we're good on this guy. He already has a weapon. She already has a weapon. Okay, so we're not gonna fuck with that. Character sheet, stats. We will look more into this later on in the gameplay, in the walkthrough. But for now, this just shows us what we have for each character. Heck, everything looks good. So, that's just briefly explaining what happened last episode, which is us falling to Earth. No other secondary quests, so we're good on that. And who we met. Okay, so our companions are Allegern, a Dora explorer and former Aeon priest with living, intricately designed tattoos that writhe across his forearms. Allegern thinks you might be the changing god. He is watching you closely. He can pull the tattoos from his arms as if they were wires under his skin, using them in battle to defend himself and his companions. He wears a faded gray duster that buttons from the neck down to the waist. It has a number of pockets, bulging with small pieces of equipment. Calistige is a woman whose consciousness has fractured itself through the dimensions. Her echoes shimmer through multiple realities. She refers to these alternative shadows as her sisters. She is a brilliant nano, and she seems to want something from you. Calistige wears a bright wardrobe of oranges and reds as if she were on fire. Her long metallic hair shimmers. She wears earrings, necklaces, bracelets, anklets and belts of varying materials and workmanship. Alright, so I think we're good as far as our companions and what we can pick up, what we can't pick up. Before we go in there, let's finish exploring the area, which was this upper place on the stairs. So hold up. Although this cube hovers in the air, you can feel the ground shudder with its vibrations. Okay. The strange lines and rippling forms of the sunken buildings are dramatically different from the architecture above the waterline. Oh shit. Oh shit. Enemies? Baby boys. What's going on here? Quoro. As you stepped onto what looks like the back of the enormous construct, 4 strangers approach you. In the lead is a wiry man with parallel scars running from cheek to collarbone on the left side of his face. He gives you a welcoming smile, pulling on gray gloves embedded with pulsing lights. He's about to say something to you when he notices Callistige. Scan thoughts. He's a star, or he came out of it. But what does Cal have to do with this? Talking about Callistige. Koro. Cal, I thought you'd sworn off trolling the reef. Found anything tasty? His eyes travel up and down both you and Elegern. Callistige. Odds and ends, Koro. Nothing that would interest you, I'm sure. Her words are calm, but she has gone quite still. Scan thoughts. What is he doing here? He has something up his sleeve, I know it. Let's ask her. Is something wrong? Nothing's wrong, dear. I accompanied Koro on an expedition once, long ago. His methods were too crass for my tastes. Though in his defense, he never tried to kill me when my back was turned. She beams at Koro. Or if he did, he failed and I didn't notice. Elegern, I don't like this. Elegern hisses in your ear, but loud enough that Callistige can hear too. If she's cagey about him, it can only mean trouble. Callistige says, you should hear what I tell people about you, dear. She gives Elegern a venomous smile. Killer or not, she whispers. Koro is not a man who can be trusted with unvarnished truth. Tread lightly. Let's ask Koro, what do you want? Right to the point, this one, isn't he? I know most of the draft that scavenges the reef these days, but it's a rare pleasure to see a new face. His smile is disarming. All I want is information. A falling star landed near here not too long ago. I don't suppose you were around to see it. We're not going to ask about his scars because that's just going to offend him. It wasn't a star. If we tell him the truth, I'll be honest with you. I saw the star, but I don't know where it landed. You're in my way. Move or I'll make you move. Let's tell him it wasn't a star. Callistige hisses under her breath like someone who stubbed a toe in the dark. An interesting observation. Koro congratulates you, and though he gives no visible signal, his 3 companions tense at his side. And why do you say that? Scan thoughts. I knew it. Was it a nightcraft, I wonder? Did he come from the stars world? Let's ask him what are those gloves for. Unwelcome but anticipated complications. He does not elaborate. Callistige says he does so love his ambushes. Callistige whispers in your ear again, even though her mouth is closed and she isn't looking at you. He didn't have the gloves when I knew him last, but I'd wager they're connected to devices in the area. Nice scars. How did you get them? Koro. 2 things are more dangerous than death in this world, he says, his smile widening. Asking impolite questions of strangers and playing with Numenera. You don't fully understand. My error was in the latter category, and I've grown more careful since. Now that I've been kind enough to answer your questions, perhaps you'll tell me why you don't think the star was a star. Let's play with the truth. Koro. I thought so. To reward your honesty, I shall be honest in turn. You have two choices here. Both of them are dreadful. Sliver tide raised a tiny amount. Koro says. He holds up a finger. First option, you surrender to us and we convey you to my employer for, well, experimentation and dissection, frankly. It's not pretty, but there it is. He holds up a second finger. Second option, we will kill you and the old man. Try not to kill Calistige and bring your body to our employers anyway. He winks at Calistige. Apologies, sweetness. Allergen says. He whirls on Calistige, his face tight with fury. You told him we were here, didn't you? You couldn't resist selling me out one more time. Calistige says, are you really so paranoid? She sighs in exasperation. Darling, she says to Koro, take your thugs and go home, otherwise we'll have to rip you to pieces and the world is already so untidy. Koro clenches his gloved fist and the soft whistle pierces the air. What do you say, Fallen Star? I'm not going anywhere with you, bitch, bitch, bitch. What a shame, Koro says and glances at his companions. Now. Oh shit. They wanna fight, huh? Let's do this. Overcome Koro and his mercenaries. Use the glowing turret or purple energy to your advantage. In a crisis, characters take their turns in a sequence shown at the top of the screen. That sequence is determined by each character's initiative. You can improve the score by training the initiative skill. Not all encounters must be solved with the muscle alone. Try using the Numenera artifacts nearby or talking directly to Koro. How you choose to solve the crisis is up to you, but there will be consequences to your actions. Okay. Using the glowing turret or purple energy to your advantage. Okay. Got you. Oh. What the fuck? Let's go ahead and use the turret. Lambent green fluid drips from the end of the device's nozzle that hisses angrily on the metal surface beneath. If the valve still functions, this could be used as a weapon.
Fine.
A long tube emerges from the plating of the dead construct and winds upwards. The duct terminates in a hollow cone. Every few seconds, a minute drop of green liquid drops out of the end and steams as it strikes the ground. Lore natural. The fluid is some kind of highly corrosive acid. It will do severe damage to organic tissue. A round dial rests at the base of the cone, ringed by a thin crust of corroded metal. It appears to be a valve that controls the flow of the noxious substance, but it looks like it hasn't been moved in centuries. Let's try to move the valve. I have no other choice. With a crack, the valve budges a centimeter. A thin stream of noxious fluid pours from the nozzle and hisses into the metal surface. You open the valve a bit further and aim an ensuing spray. Let's try to hit these fuckers. Right there. It's gonna hit all of them anyway, so. Allergen's body is covered in strange shifty tattoos. He can use the living tattoo's ability to plug a strand of ink from himself, granting him the living tattoo's fetal. While the fetal is active, he gains increasing bonuses by chaining together similar actions, attacks, healing, applying other fetals. If he uses different kind of action, he breaks the chain and loses the fetal. The ability does not use his move or his attack action, so he can activate it and then do something else. To use the ability, press to bring up the ability, radio ability. Okay, so That's L2. Okay, living tattoos. Grants living tattoos while active use similar actions, attacks, defensive, esoteric, ciphers, or healing esoteric ciphers. Multiple turns in a row to chain increasing effects. Using a different kind of action breaks the chain and removes the fetal. When the chain reaches 4, the fetal is removed. Okay. Let's use living tattoos.
They never seem to run out.
Okay, and what do I do? Attack? Okay, we can use attack. Let's do that. Let's do that. That should work. Abilities. Calistige is a dimensional husk who exists in multiple realities at the same time. She can use this transdimensional power to teleport between locations using her dimensional superposition ability. Teleporting using her fate movement instead of her action, her attack action, so she can activate it and then do something else. But can I use this? Let's see. Energy pulses occasionally over this dish. A flash of melancholy prickles your mind with each. Okay, let's see.
Probability shakes at my coming.
Okay. And then I can do what? The resistance stat works the same as armor but reduces damage from energy, chemical, mental, and transdimensional sources. Is that it? Let's go ahead and confirm.
By the black 3.
Some bullshit. Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
I'm surrounded. On it.
There is a shallow depression in the surface here, like many others scattered around the construct. Unlike the others, energy still pulses across this one at random intervals. A slight yet implacable sense of unease emanates with each wave of energy. There is a loose lens at the center of the depression. You think you could redirect the psychic effect somewhere more useful, but it'll be tricky to get it in between the energy pulses. Redirect the lens to direct the psychic energy at your enemies. Let's try this out. Success. With careful timing, it is easy to twist the lens into what is hopefully a more favorable position. The lens glows, warning of an impending energy pulse. The field of energy extends outwards and worms into eyes, ears, and mouths of Quarrel's team. Hope drains from their faces, replaced by a numb stare. Then the shallow depression becomes dark and dormant. Yeah, bitch. Let's see, can I even use... Let's use this. Can I interact with it? No, I can't. Oh yeah, I gotta keep using my attack on this asshole. Dead, bitch, 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 bitch. Shin Walur. This is a finely made armband, or perhaps a bracelet for something larger than most humans. It is made of ordinary golden metal and encrusted with worthless gems. If you focus your gaze on it for a few seconds, it disappears from sight and can no longer be felt against the skin. It reappears at its last location once no one is looking there. Okay, we'll take it. Great sword. Large, heavy, and sharp, this enormous blade is truly deadly. It requires 2 hands to use. We'll take it. Right, now this asshole over here is gonna take it too. Alright, I'm gonna have to... There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing I can do there with that. Alright, his turn is done. Let's see if we can attack this asshole right here. We can't do nothing with that. Okay, so what else can we do? We can either move. There isn't any other items. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to right there.
Probability shakes at my coming.
And let's go ahead and attack this douche right here. He healed him up, son of a bitch. Really? Son of a bitch. You missed, you little bitch. Okay, let's go ahead and we gotta take care of Chewin. If we don't, he's gonna... Let's see, what abilities do I have? Gain protected armor, armor bonus +2. Esoteric attack. Let's see, let's do chemical, transdimensional. So let's do energy on this bitch. Let's do that.
Surrender.
We gotta take him out. He's done. And now Alajern. Done. You're fully depleted one of your stat pools, might, speed, or intellect. To recover your stat pools, you can find a place to sleep or use consumable items and ciphers. No worries.
Alright.
Shin. What is this? Bounder. As a cipher. Heavy and solid, this brown orb feels like a rock that has been worn smooth by constant flow of water. On one side, there's an indentation that just fits a human hand. When activated, the bounder absorbs the user and teleports them to a nearby location within line of sight. We'll take it. Image blocker. This shapestone object has a small, featureless button on it. When pressed, the device sends out psychic interference, blocking visual perception of the holder. Subjects affected by the interference will notice blurred and distorted squares over the user's body and will be unable to see the user at all unless looking directly at the target. Okay. And the dagger. A well-used, carefully honed dagger, one of the simplest weapons available, but in the right hands also one of the most lethally quick. Take it. Alright. Let's go ahead and take care of this douche over here. Calestige, we're good.
I must find a way to shake this off.
Okay, that didn't hit us just yet. He really wants to go after Calestige, that son of a bitch. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of him.
I missed.
Fuck. Okay, I have no damage points, so let's go ahead and use... Let's heal up.
Much better.
Let's heal him up. Okay, nothing else we can do there. Now Calestige, she should be able to take care of this asshole.
None can stand before me.
Please hit him. Don't hit me. Okay. Koro. Koro looks around. The point of his crossbow droops as he takes in the direness of his situation. Well, Falling Star, it seems you put me at a disadvantage. What do you say we let bygones be, He flashes a handsome smile. Remember, I'm just the employee here. All of us gotta eat. I'd rather part friends than wounded enemies, wouldn't you? Scan thoughts. I'll tell Sally Mary to star landed in the bay. She can't get mad at me for that. Calestige, a good suggestion. He's an honest boy, mostly. If we're on the same side. Allegern, of course you'd say that. I'd feel safer if both of you jumped in the reef. Go. There's no reason more people need to be hurt. Go, but I'd better not see you again. You can't get away that easily. You hurt us. We deserve some compensation. Forget it, Cora. We're going to finish what you started. Let's see if we can get some compensation out of this. Actually, just say go. Let's go with the good guy. He beams. Right you are. As strong as you are smart. Gold tide raised a small amount. Well, I'll just be going then. Hey. Douchebag. Shit, finally. That was a fiasco, I have to say. I'm surprised you let him go. The changing god, I knew I wouldn't have done that. He crosses his arms. Anyway, I hope you've learned something. You can't trust her in any reality. I knew I couldn't trust Calestige. This is the last time I make that mistake. Excuse me? Are you suggesting it had something to do with Koro's plans? Oh, I cannot abide his rabid paranoia a moment longer. Are you suggesting you didn't? An old friend of yours just happens to be waiting for us, armed and outnumbering us, as we return from the greatest find in the reef has seen in years? It's too convenient for me. Too convenient by far. They attacked me too, in case you missed that. Well, they didn't kill you. Maybe you intended for them to weaken us so you could stab us in our sleep tonight. He throws up a hand, forestalling Calestige's retort. Look, I don't care. Fact is, I can't trust you anymore, and I wonder why I ever did. This is the last we travel together. I've got enough to worry about without having to watch my back 28 hours a day. He turns to you. You coming, kid, or what? So we can have three choices. Allegern, I really don't think she was trying to betray us. Calestige, it was a little convenient. You really going to walk away from each other over this? Oh, this is just the last needle that crushed the Anine. You haven't seen 1/10 of her depths, not 1/20th. She's a backstabbing bitch, 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 bitch. And this mess here only proves it. Always a paragon of class, Algern. If I did have any interest in betraying you, do you really think I would need Coral's help? Yet this is the thanks I get for calling your pain, rattled, judgmental weakness for so long. I've had enough. She turns to you. Child, I'm happy to guide you, but I will not walk another step with this paranoid buffoon. Finally, something we agree on, he growls. Kid, she'll chop off your head and spit down your throat. I'll get you where you need to go and let you sleep at night to boot. It's up to you. Why can't I travel with both of you? Can't you both just work it out? She bursts out laughing. My dear boy, we have been working it out. Allergen's petulance, his obstinacy in the face of fact, drive me away every day. He might be strong, but he's also thick. I dare you to try traveling with him and see how long you endure. Not as long as I have, I'll wager. His face darkens under her accusations, but he manages a pained smile. As if you were doing me a favor by staying with me. Do you think I don't see your true self in all those echoes around you? That's you, Calistige, every face of it. Your vivisectionist heart hasn't changed, just the way you presented. I thought I could help you, but I'll be fine on my own. I don't want to travel with neither one of you. Shit. So he is very paranoid. I'd rather go with baby girl. Baby girl. Damn, Allergen, I don't want to leave you, but at the same time, I'll go with her because I feel like she knows the area. Right. Well, if you want me and she doesn't sell you for parts, you can find me in the underbelly, but not with her, mind you. She'll sell you for parts first chance forget it. It's his choice, not my problem. I'll let you know what you've missed, Allergen. I'm sure you won't be missed, that is. She links her arm possessively into yours. Let's go, child. Damn. Allergen, Allergen. Now that you've dealt with Koro and his goons, you can continue on the city of Saga's Cliffs. To reach the city, cross the bridge at the north end of the platform. Before you go, you may wish to take a moment to recover and search for bodies of your defeated enemies for any equipment or valuables. Hell yeah. Thick air snare. Akin to how a seashell held to one's ear can bring forth the sound of the sea, merely holding this teal-bulbed shaped flute device causes one's loose clothing and hair to flow about them as if affected by ocean currents. Upon blowing into the instrument, a violent pulse ripples forth as a swarm of nanites thicken the local atmosphere to a water-like consistency. Shaped by the wielder's will, only those seen as enemies find themselves slowed or otherwise hindered by the vicious air. Lore Mystical Novice. Common opinion among Aeon priests is that these devices were scavenged from the same ruined city of aquatic mutants. A renegade nano has claimed proof of an alternate theory, claiming a rare species of translucent amphibious birds known to hunt off the shore of coastal towns produce these instruments, which are in truth the fertilized eggs of the elusive creatures. Their migratory patterns are too complex to decipher, and thus they are doubly rare due to both the difficulty of reliably finding their nests and their diminishing numbers, for they have been hunted to near extinction. Damn. Alright. And this, a buzzer. This small mechanized device fits comfortably into a human hand. It fires thumbnail-sized razor-sharp discs. While these devices are sometimes made from scavenged Numenera, skilled artisans can craft them from raw parts. They're fairly common weapons, though still valued and dangerous. We'll take it.
Let's go.
Okay, nothing we can do there. I thought for a moment we were going to be able to open this device, but I guess we can't. city must be over there, but let's go ahead and check the building. I'm just curious. And I don't believe there was nothing else over there. But let's go ahead and check. This metal door is thick, heavy, and unmarked by time. Double rows of circular bumps run horizontally and vertically across the surface. It is firmly sealed. The metal surface is infused with minuscule threads that are barely visible to the human eye. The only run is straight lines and right angles, and they seem to converge at a circular bumps. Upon closer inspection, you notice that each of the bumps is unique. Some had flat faces, others are actually many-sided polygons, and a few are marked by tiny apertures. Unfortunately, you don't see anything that resembles a knob, keyhole, or access device. You try touching both the flat panels on the door and the small bumps. Welcome to the stream. But nothing happens. Let's knock on the door. You knock lightly at first, then harder. The door makes no sound at all, nor does it shudder or yield. Callistige. There's no one home, dear. Hasn't been for thousands of years. She peers at the door. One of my colleagues at the order claimed that she got inside, but I don't believe her. Alright, we will leave it be. Nothing else we can do on this side. Koro tried to attack us and he did not succeed, so we can go ahead and continue on to the city. That was kind of intense. I like the fighting mechanics of the game, I'm not going to lie, and the lore is just amazing so far. It reminds me a lot of this game on PC called Subterra Core, which was turn-based and you interacted with the area. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Let's see what the city looks like and what more adventures await. Hopefully we find Allergern again, because I don't like that Allergern and Calistine became unhappy with each other. Hopefully we can get him as a companion again. But Koro, oh, we're gonna get revenge on Koro, that little bitch. Alright, we seek the Order of Truth, so we must first reach Government Square. The easiest way is via the staircase. Sounds good. Otero. Wind spins off the distant sea, sweeping between you and the boy, whistling up towards the peaks of Saga's cliffs. He glances at you, then at crowds in the plaza beyond. He appears to be looking for someone. Would she have come to the city? Doesn't seem like her kind of play, but... Saw you wandering down in the reef, he says. Did you get to the star before the others did? He looks back at your face and grins. Guess not. That and a face that's found could pick. Don't be rude, boy. There was nothing to find down there. I was the falling star. Let's use the honesty. Heh, sure you were, he says, smirking. Sell that skiz to someone else. But despite his hard words, his eyes settle on yours, studying the sighting. His mouth settles into an irritated line. Look, he says, running a hand over his stubbled scalp. You hide it well, but I can tell you're new here. I ain't trying to offend you, but I don't like leaving folk new to Sagas on their own. If you have questions about the city, or Circus Minor in particular, I'll answer them free of charge. Of course, it looks like you already have a guide, he says, nodding at Callistige. Callistige. Why is this freshie traveling with her? She scares the toke out of me. Hello, dear, your companion says politely before turning to you. Otero knows the city better than almost anyone, and it's quite unlike him to give anything away for free, let alone his terribly valuable advice. Do take him up on his offer. Nice of you to say, Otero says, eyeing you. Well? We're not gonna ask him the first question because that's obvious. We know he does live here. Um, let's see. Where can I find a place to sleep around here? Let's do number 6 first. The cult of the changing god might let you sleep in their camp, or you can try tranquility rest in Caravanserai. Okay. I'm looking for the cult of the changing god. Let's see where that's located.
Making a note.
Well, you're not going to be able to miss them, he says, smirking. They're camped around the weird clock on the other side of the square. He settles his hands on his hips. What do you want with those carkers anyway? They owe you something? I just need to ask them a few questions. Now let's go with the first one. He still doesn't believe us. Alright, Odero says, winkling. Good luck with the pitch. They meet a few changing gods a year, so don't expect open arms. Where's the Order of the Truth?
I'll remember that.
In Government Square from here. Follow the path around the left and look for the stairs going up. So we're in Circus Minor now. Yeah, the heart of the city, he says, folding his arms. The Levi's and politicians tell you that Government Square is the center of Saga's cliffs, but they're not thinking right. He spreads his hands, framing the plaza. When folk come to Saga's, they come here. They talk and trade, flirt and fight, tell stories. Everyone who comes here leaves different. His hands fall. Anyway, what do you want to know? How to fix complex machinery? He says, scanning the plaza. Prada? That's the bug lady in the market. Is pretty good with machines. You might ask her for advice. He rubs the back of his neck. Otherwise, you'll want to visit the foreman in the underbelly. They might be able to fix it if they can't stop fighting long enough. What's happening on that stage? An execution, he says, rolling his eyes. It'll be going on for a few days yet. All those folks think they'll learn great truths from the nightmares of a dying man. He shakes his head. It's not worth my time, but it might be worth yours if you haven't seen one before. We're definitely gonna want to catch that. Who should I speak to in the marketplace about fixing complex machinery again? Okay, he already told us that. What are you doing here anyway? Just got back from a scrounge, he says. I'm here trading salvo for supplies before I set out again. Enjoying the sights, you know? His eyes sweep the crowds again. Where would she have gone if she came here, and why? So he's looking for somebody. Who are you looking for? So he says you can't help notice that he doesn't seem to be enjoying himself. He looks downright unhappy, guilty even. He flinches and glares at you at first. It seems like he's not going to answer. A girl I met a while back, he says at last, looking away. She was new in town, like you. I'm just wondering what happened to her, if she's okay. He swallows. Whoa. Anyway, you have any other questions? Scans thoughts. It didn't look like she broke camp, more like she left in a hurry. I want to ask you something else. Sure, he says. I'm not going anywhere yet. Anyway. Okay. What can you tell me about the city? What can you remind me? Okay, we got one. Not really, he says. Walls are nice, but they keep you in one place. I like to move around, explore. Don't like being here much at all, really. City folks are scarier than scroungers. You don't have a home? Don't need one, he says. I carry my life with me. He pats his bags. Okay. Depends what you want to know, he says. I spent most of my time in Circus Minor, but there's other districts too. Government Square, Cliff's Edge, the Underbelly, and Caravanserai. He scratches his chin. There's also the Reef of Fallen Worlds, but you've already been down there. Tell me about the Reef of Fallen Worlds. We might get answers about that door. Only carkers, slavers, bullies, and diggers desperate for scrounge go there, he coughs. And you, of course. He stares past you down the winding steps. Besides, folks think it's haunted by ghosts from the previous worlds, and I've seen enough down there to agree with them. But you don't need me telling you what it's like. You're lucky you didn't get robbed on your way back, or worse. He eyes you expectantly. Someone named Cora tried to rob us on the way up. I think he ended up regretting it though. Okay, let's go with number one. He did, Otero says, snickering. Scrambled up those steps like the sea itself was after him. That son of a bitch, so he probably knows him too. What if Cliff's Edge? A damn dangerous place to live, he says, laughing. Folks build their houses out on the edge over the sea, and everyone gets upset when one of them falls. He sighs. I hear it's been getting worse lately. Watch your feet up there. Okay, so we think I want to know about Caravanserai. That's the port of Sagas, he says. Any ship that can fly lands there, makes their trades, and takes off for foreign lands. He turns a scornful eye towards the distant flags on the high crag. Plenty to see right here in Sagas. Don't know why people insist on leaving. Okay. Can you tell me about the underbelly? Imagine an underground place where the city sends everyone they don't like. Cannibal cultists, mutants, carkers, and thugs. Now add a stink like burning metal and cooking meat. That's the underbelly. Okay. And I think he did tell us about Government Square, but let's just go ahead and ask him. I did, he says, nodding. Bet you can guess what's up there. I want to ask something else. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, Otero, he was very good. Let's see this execution. If you ask me, the victim speaking nonsense, illusions of dying mind, nothing more. Unmoved woman. This woman stands at the back of the crowd, arms crossed and eyes cool as she watches the slow execution. Unlike the others, she's also watching the people in the crowd. She shakes her head, depressing. What exactly is happening here? Another in a long series of pointless executions. She points to the man with the robe of flesh coming out of his mouth. The poor bastard they're killing is put into a trance that makes him talk a lot of nonsense and spew that pink stuff. Eventually, it crushes the life out of him and the big guy eats him. Disgusting. What the fuck? Scan thoughts. I feel like someone should do something. Why is everyone just watching? Why is everybody watching this? She sighs. It's what passes for entertainment in this town. People like to watch other people suffer. Takes their minds off their own suffering, I guess. That's not why I'm here though. I just got sucked in. Scans thoughts. I want to stop it, I guess, but what can I do? Okay. Let's see if we can speak with the excited man. This man watches the execution with fevered eyes. He shakes his fist. Traitor! Traitor to the city! As you approach him, he gives you a savage grin. Nothing better than seeing a traitor die, eh? Justice, the Sagas Cliff's way. He jerks a thumb at the dice. We make traitors and murderers spill their guts, then strangle them with them. We also force them to speak their nightmares to scare other criminals into going straight. He laughs. And if that doesn't do it, then knowing that the devourer of wrongs is going to eat your body after you die will. Makes me sick just thinking about it. We scan his thoughts. He deserves it for betraying the greatest city in the world. To see justice done, he thumps his chest. If somebody hurts my city, I want to see them hurt twice as bad. And getting crushed to death by your own words is as bad as it gets. Okay, before we go ahead and do anything else, let's see if we can speak with anybody else. This woman listens intently to the ravings of the man on the nearby dais, hanging on every word. She gives you a hesitant smile. Can you understand it? I know he's speaking great wisdom, if only I could decipher it. An execution. She gestures towards the man on the dais. They put the condemned into a trance, and he speaks of the wondrous things he sees. His words become tendrils of corrupted flesh which are wrapped around his body until they crush him to death. Then the devourer of wrongs eats him. Scans the thoughts. I think I nearly understood the last one. She shudders. Most are only thrill seekers and the morbidly curious, but some of us gather to hear the words of the condemned. They are said to contain the most sublime truths, for they are born from dreams of death. We listen to try to understand their meaning. Damn, did he just get killed? Okay, so we can definitely speak with that one. Okay, and before we do that, let's go ahead and speak with Tibir. Pacing the edges of the crowd is a paunchy old soldier with a swaggering stride. At the moment, however, his jauntiness seems overshadowed by worry, and he alternates between watching the execution and searching the crowd as if looking for a miracle. Then his eyes light on you, scans thoughts. I've never seen his face before. This might be just the break I need.
I say, you look like someone who believes in justice. How'd you like to help a poor soul wrongfully condemned?
What kind of help do you need? I don't need anything, but my friend there on the platform is dying. The nightmares his executioners have induced in him spill from him with every word he speaks, and wrap around him like a snake. He glances at the execution. I know there are but a few strands around him now, but in a few days' time they'll choke the life out of him. I cannot imagine a more horrible way to die. He pauses. Well, that's not true. I have an imagination that would shame a sailor. He leans in. You need to be swift and willing to hold justice above law, but there is a way to save him, if you will hear me out. Who are you? Captain Lanchan Tibir, retired. He says with a little bow. Extremely retired. Once a soldier of fortune, now its plaything. He takes another look at Riz. But my story can wait. Saving Riz's life comes first. Why is your friend being executed? A misunderstanding, he says, waving a dismissive hand. Riz and I were hired to deliver some expensive brandy to an out-of-town buyer. He breathed a sigh, weighted with disgust and regret. Would you believe that the bottles were stuffed with state secrets? Riz was accused of selling information to the enemies of Saga's Cliffs. They called him a traitor. It was a travesty. He growls, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. The poor lad had no idea what was in there. We scanned his thoughts. Tragic. If he'd known, he might have escaped too. Then we wouldn't be in this mess. That is a travesty. Thank you, he says, slamming a justice-seeking fist into his palm. If you were part of the scheme, why aren't you up there with him? Luck, he says, shrugging. I was taking a piss when they came for him. Went through the back window and scampered up the roof. He shakes his head. I watch poor Reese being led away from the hiding spot. Sword getting free. I hope it's a promise I can keep. Why are you helping Reese? Is friendship not reason enough? He declares, then his shoulders sag and he hangs his head. Actually, truth to tell, there's more to it than that. I'm partly to blame for him being up there, and guilt's a strong motivator, eh? I want to talk to your friend. Are you mad? Tibir sputters. It's an execution. He's surrounded by levies. They won't let you near him. And even if they did, he's out of his head. You'll get nothing but gibberish from him. We scan his thoughts. And if he doesn't speak gibberish, no. Best to assume it's gibberish. Alright, forget it. Tibir breathes a sigh of relief. Good thinking, friend. It's never wise to stir up the levies. What's your plan? A simple one, but it requires nerve. Listen. He lowers his voice. It would be nothing for someone of your noble demeanor to masquerade as a city official and ask the council clerk for an archived copy of an old stay of execution. Once you have it, I'll write out a fresh one and add Reese's name. Then we'll present it to the overseer here and poor Reese will be set free. There you have it. A foolproof, risk-free plan. Where do I find the council clerk? Would it be simpler to talk to the crowd at the execution, convince them to rise up and free Reese? He'd be in the government square, of course. There's a podium outside the council tower. I can't think of a time he wasn't there. Let's see if it's an extremely risky plan. Let's see. Nonsense, he says, waving a hand. It could be simpler. Just be calm, confident, and wear a winning smile. He gives you a winning smile. Would it be simpler to talk to the crowd at the execution, convince them to rise up against and free Reese? Tibir looks uneasy. Well, you're welcome to try, friend, but leave me out of it. Sagas Cliff's crowds are notoriously bloodthirsty, and the execution officials are not known for their sense of humor. You might regret it later, and you'd be alone when you did. Too many unknowns in a scheme like that, not enough escape routes. Alright, I'll help you. Excellent. Then you will need a proper story and a badge of office. Fortunately, I have the first, and you can buy the second from the Sangaline, the clothing merchant in Government Square. He folds his arms. Once you have a badge of office, you will tell the council clerk you are from the Judicial Oversight Committee, looking into corruption in the commutation of capital sentences. The stay you're asking for is that of a notorious gangster named Cole Cardine, who was mysteriously set free a few years ago. When you get Cole's stay of execution, I'll make a copy with Reese's names on it, and you can give it to the overseer who will free him, you see. Simple. He rubs his hands together. Now if you'll let me join you, I'd be happy to show you around the city and help you with all of this, and whatever else you have going on. What do you say? Alright, thanks, I could use the help. It will be my pleasure, but let's hurry. There's not a moment to lose. Reese hasn't much time.
Making a note.
Alright, so we have Tibir now. Wonderful. Let's just see what this is. Just examine that part. There's nothing else on this side. Let's go ahead and do his little quest. Let's go and speak with the arms merchant, and then the sign over his stall says, "The arming room. Buy, sell, trade." Under the awning, a skinny man with stooped shoulders and a concave chest is cleaning a fifth, caked weapon of some kind. He salutes you with greasy hand. Done in a moment. Have a look around. If you need anything, let me know. What can you tell me about Sagas Cliffs? Good place for the arms trades. Not much of call for weapons in the city proper, it's true. The Levi's keep things quiet, he shrugs. I get most of my business from mercenary companies. The endless battle draws them by the dozens. Explorers too. Plenty of carkers save up their shins and kit themselves out. All fancy-like. Then they wander down the reef or into the bloom and never come back. Show me what you have for sale. Okay. So he doesn't have anything that we need. I'm gonna get out of that. So he's just making up bullshit. The genocide. Can probably pick him up later on. Let's see. Elazar, probably speak with him. What the fuck is that? Ojinto. We'll speak with these other NPCs later on. For now, let's go ahead and do that quest. What is this? You feel like a slight tugging in the corner of your mind when gazing upon this symbol. We will speak with all these other NPCs at one point, but I do want to finish this one quest for Tibir. So he said we need to go get that badge. We're not gonna go through there just yet. Let's Let's see. Alright, let me see. This is the cultist encampment, execution ground, Prata. Let's go ahead and find the person he was telling us to go look for. Let me in. Okay, we're not gonna speak to them yet.
Yes.
This machine tower above you like a dagger driven into the ground by a giant. It seems much older than the surrounding buildings. Your hand itched to touch the array of dark panels scattered around the machine, as though they have touched them before. Let's examine the device first. Your hand slipped over the cobbled together components and greasy cables, the buttons worn by frequent use. It is a strange accomplishment, this machine, clumsy but deft, amateurish but masterful. Only a brilliant mind could have melded so many disparate parts into a functional device. Unfamiliar memories whisper to you the device was used, though you don't know how, to generate a field that unmoored everything within it from time itself. Let's go ahead and use anamnesis. Try to remember why this machine feels so familiar. Success. You close your eyes to better concentrate, sinking into the currents of a memory that does not belong to you, or at least not to the body you are in. And you hear the thunderous heartbeat of the operational generator calling you from across centuries. You open cold, focused eyes, ignoring the screams, the drifting tangles of black smoke. Your attention is solely focused on the health of the machine's heartbeat. You reach into the hissing guts of the generator, adjusting and tuning, hoping. The heartbeat fades into the past. Your body's hand rests on the rusty surface of the long dead generator. Alright, we'll leave it be. The genocide. This burly armor-clad figure stands almost motionless as you approach. He regards you silently through his singular eye. The studs on his arms and the blades on his shoulders are stained and pitted with age. When he speaks, his voice is muffled, an artificial and hollow grumble that emanates from the entirety of the helmet. I am genocide, if you ask. I must answer. Pass on, and exchange no words. The genocide. His surface thoughts are like a crystal pool, alternately transparent or else perfectly reflecting his words. His minds reveal nothing hidden except for a low-level hatred of everything around him. This latter is more of a feeling you get than an actual thought that you hear. What are you? I am a blade that cannot cut, a weapon that cannot strike, a living monument to failure. He shifts his weight. You hear the frown in his voice. I was Ogesi Tel Kotu, the firm hand of tradition. They called me one of the Black Three. Enemies did not understand us. They took my name to mean death in a dozen extinct tongues. Called me Orphan Maker, Hope Smasher, Death's Child. My armies blackened the earth and the skies. My Dragoliths scoured the land. Domination was my duty. If they had known, if they had welcomed us, they might have been our thralls. Instead, they became dust. He gestures. All this, it was to have been mine in stewardship for the future of my people. It was promised, but now, his arms fall back to the side. Now I am the genocide, a relict, the last of my kind. You said you were the last of your kind. Why? I know of no others. Kalagat Amvor. He who shares the truth and understanding is dead. Vostuletlo, the blinding light of reason, was destroyed. The underspine has fallen. My people are destroyed utterly, and our servant God speaks to us no longer. The clean lines of order and glory of battle have forsaken us. He pauses. The rest are dusts. We rose against a superior foe, and were outmatched. Only I remain to tell the story of the Tabath. You say you had to answer if I asked. Why? From within the helmet you hear a grinding noise, the sound of teeth gnashing, amplified, then the voice again bleak. We sat at the river's edge, and we wept for the time that was. We saw nothing more to conquer, and yet our fear still drove us. We had conquered the land, purged its impurities, made it ours. Still we wanted more. When we heard that humans had come to carve a home, we rejoiced to have a new foe, a new test of our truth. We rode against them. We drove them to the forge of the night sky, to the valley of Mira Jolios, to the dangers of the Black Riage. But those who built atop these ruins, they thwarted us, time and again, and so we brought our constructs and our deadliest warriors to the bay outside the city. We laid a mighty siege. We entered the human settlement, we fought past barricades and traps. Some of our constructs are still here, silent and dead. But when they thought we had achieved our greatest victory, he lowers his head. A powerful nano saved them. With his magics, he pulled upon the strength of the ancients and captured us. I thought my life was at an end, but he imprisoned me in slow time, trapped me in my body, used machines to paralyze my will. I still remember our glories, and I see the faded future in front of me, and I am powerless to act. The memories of our triumphs remain always at the forefront of my mind, and I must answer the mocking questions of these people or suffer. Damn. The genocide raises his hand in defeat. He found old knowledge and made it his own. He created defenses that we could not penetrate. Most telling, most effective, the shield generators. He created 3 barriers around the heart of the city, and the last unmoored the city in time. When our constructs touched it, they flashed to stasis. We could not reach the city, but the city could reach us. You feel the ticklings of memory as the genocide speaks of the shield. He continues to talk, oblivious. Let the memory come. It's a patchy memory coming in, still images and moments. The relentless beat of the war machines as they approach the city. The reavers in the sky of their dirigibles. You remember fighting them on the parapet. You remember fleeing into the safety of the city. You recall making your way to the shield generators, cutting off the Tabat supply lines. And then the memory fades. The genocide watches you silently. Damn. Can you tell me about the nano who trapped you on here? I am not required to speak of him again to you. The compulsion has been satisfied. Okay, how did you stop from trying? So you seem calm. I have been defeated. I have nothing to fight for. My captor castrated me with a tool they made to dampen my natural urges. I can remember the actions. I can recall the glory. But I feel shame, regret. I am weakened, but not by my volition. The genocide squeezes his fists. What does it matter? Those who stood against me are all dead. I am victorious. I no longer fight with a blade. My weapon is time. He leans in closer. I do not die. I cannot be wounded. I am held like a beetle in a sap. Why would I not be? Serene? He settles back. The underspine spoke of my destiny. I was to wage war unto the edge of the universe, but the universe keeps going, and so, it seems, must I. Some day I will be free. Someday. Until then, I am incorruptible. How did they stop you from trying to escape? The nano who raised the city's shields created a device. He called it the Mind Seer. With it, he violated my mind, my memories, and everything that was once the core of my being. In a fit of vengeance, he tore truths from me. He made me betray my people. He rewrote my mind. He gave me perfect clarity into the past and gelded my ability to shape the future. The Tabat never sought revenge against foes who were mightier than we. We devised stratagems to defeat them. We tested ourselves. We did not punish or hate. Punishment was purification. This, though, is torture. The words the cities refuse can mock me now. They can ridicule and jape, and I am powerless to strike them for their impudence. Then quieter, and now they do not even do that. I have become a fixture, an irrelevance, a non-entity. I am the slave to... You hear his teeth grinding as he thinks of the perfect insult. To peacemakers. I must endure their presence and feel their corruption skin into me daily. Some foreign part of me desires it. He thumps his fist into his hand. But I remember that I will triumph over them. Eventually they will die, and I will not. You mentioned the Tabath. Who or what are they? My people? His voice is forlorn. Great warriors, we own this land. We served the Underspine, and it served us. We sought truth and victory. We ascended the Epiphany. We were pure, incorruptible, indivisible, even in disunity. We found strength in one another, and proved it with bloody blades. But we fell, and the Underspine fell, and so, too late, we learned a new truth. But I carry the old ways as a seed within my heart. Why did the Tabath fight so much? For honor, for truth, for one way, because it was our duty. We were born to the blade, so it was written, so we choose. Free will is a curse unless given to a greater purpose. Our purpose was given to us by the Underspine, given to the Underspine by our ancestors, who founded and crystallized our essence forever. You mentioned the names of some Tabath. Can you tell me about them? Kalagat Anvor, the strongest mind of the Black Three. None could stand before him when he bent his mind to their unraveling. Intricate, careful, overwhelming. Bosululo, a methodical planner, collector of curiosities, the toolsmith and construct waker. It was he who brought the ancient machines to life, and I the knife, the strategist, the blade in their hands. We three were unstoppable. He pauses. Until Saga's cliffs, until then, until the corruption of defeat. So wait, can you tell me where the other Tabaths are again? The rest of the Tabath have gone to the dust, only I remain. Let me ask you something else. You mentioned the shield generators, can you tell me about them? I told you their effect. They unmoored the city in time. They severed our supply lines and left us vulnerable and defeated us. The Underspine strategies failed us. I begin to doubt. He shifts slightly. The generators are unused, abandoned, their purpose forgotten, though the people of the city still swear by our name, and our terrors are fresh in their nightmares despite their passage of centuries. They have forgotten the means of their salvation. This one beside me no longer functions, but one of the others is buried in the ground, not far from here, and has not yet failed. It powers the clock around which those ridiculous fools prance. I have no more questions. Farewell. Wow. Just wow. Some of these characters are just like so interesting. Speak to Beliazar. This thin, fidgeting Aeon priest shoots furtive, sidelong glances at the creature in the nearby cage while humming a nonchalant tune. When he sees that you're watching him, he flinches. Over the course of a few frantic breaths, shock becomes embarrassed anger, and he opens his mouth to shout at you. There must be a way, but how? They never leave it alone. Yes? What is it? What is so God's damn fascinating about me that you feel the need to stare? You seem nervous. I'm not, Belisar says, his eyes stealing to the caged creature again. I just don't like it when people sneak up on me. What do you know about the creature over there? What? Belisar says, jumping. Then he takes a breath and struggles to sound offhand. It's a Nichtimeron. I'll pronounce it like that. A biochemical creature, an information gatherer in fact. He seems to calm down as he warms to the topic. They're dangerous though. You can only speak to them at night. During daylight, they'll attack without provocation. Calistige says, a living repository of knowledge. Calistige murmurs, watching the creature. I wonder what places it has seen, what it knows. Belazar's eyes narrow suspiciously. You're planning something, aren't you? Frowning at your words, Balazar turns to regard you. Then he notices your tattoo and his eyes go wide. I've heard of people like you. What are you doing? No, never mind. You just asked me, I mean. He trails off and seems to reach a decision. I'm working on something dangerous, and it would be an honor if you can lend your assistance. I get the feeling he understands me. Belisar glances around the plaza as if looking for spies, then beckons you to him. I have a device, he says in a hoarse whisper that can probably be heard from meters away. If someone can get close enough to affix it to the creature's cage, it will activate and teleport the Nightmaron to the reef of fallen worlds. He snickers and rubs his hands together, and then scans his thoughts. It's an insane plan, yet how else can I make a name for myself? Greatness demands risks. You'll study it? In a manner of speaking. Biomechanical organisms fascinate me, and Nichtimerons doubly so. I've never gotten to examine one up close, so he lowers his voice. I want you to teleport the creature out of his cage. Kill it and bring me the memory organ. You want to kill it for its brain? Isn't that murder? Please, Belisar says, rolling his eyes so hard you're surprised you can't hear him squeaking in their sockets. It's a machine, it's not alive. It makes you feel better. Tell yourself you're deactivating a faulty device that will defend itself with lethal force. How does this teleportation device work? I'm not sure, Belisar admits, mouthing twisting. My former colleague found it within the rusted casing of a war machine. I say former because when he activated it, he disappeared. We found his remains spread across the reef as if he was hurled at the ground with great force. He looks briefly nauseous at the memory. Now you might be thinking the Nichtimeron will perish in the same manner, and it might, but I wouldn't count on it. The creature can float. Scans his thoughts. Poor Caruth. Most of those test subjects didn't fare so well either. Are you sure you don't know how the teleportation device works? Not yet, Belisar says. All I know is that when it's activated, it teleports whatever it's attached to it into the reef of the fallen world. This sounds too easy. I just walk up, plant the device in the creature's cage and activate it? If it were that easy, I would do it, Belisar says. But the creature's captors protect its cage, and, well, they've already caught me once, but they won't be watching for you. Belisar rubs the back of his hand across his mouth. Tell them you wish to see the beast, and plant the device when they're not watching. And if you get caught, don't tell them I sent you. He lowers his voice to a horrible whisper. They said they'd lodge a complaint with the order. He scans his thoughts. There's also the part about killing it, but he doesn't need to think about that yet. Alright, give me the device, and I'll see what I can do.
I'll remember that.
Here it is, he says, handing it over and nervously licking his lips. Be very, very careful. I don't have another one. Belisar gave you the small device to attach to the cage that holds the Nichtimeron. He promises that it will teleport the Nichtimeron to a place of his choosing, but it will not work on anything else. Alright, so now we have a few quests in hand. Oh, Gene, so he's probably the guy guarding it, and Kanadu is probably the guy guarding it too. Oh, let's go ahead and check. Let's see. Acquire city's official badge from Sangoling in Government Square. Definitely gonna come back. We're gonna come back and speak with these other NPCs in a little bit. For now, let's go ahead and see where is this other guy with the badge that's trying to give us what we need. But wow, such rich lore. Such rich lore with amazing characters. They put so much thought into this game. And I believe it's a remake of an original game at one point. But I love the fact that it has a lot of lore for you to go through and reading, because not many games are like that, and I can certainly appreciate a game that has, like I said, rich lore embedded into the game itself. So hopefully we're able to find the douche that's gonna give us the little badge and take it from there. Okay, it's been saved. We are going to speak with the other NPCs further down and then with the ones up here, but first let's just go ahead and try to get this out of the way, the first quest that we're trying to get out, which is we need to go speak with I need 2 badges at all city officials pass. I can purchase a badge from the Sangoline who runs the clothing shop in the government square. So we need to speak with Sangoline. We can't go in there just yet. Council Tower. It's the Order of Truth. Sangoline is right there, okay. Let's speak with Sangoline. Oh, Sangoline. Is that a baby boy or a baby girl? Let's see. A tall, thin, and exquisitely dressed older man stands in the shade of an exquisitely crafted stall. The cut, color, and quality of his clothes are a symphony of harmonious coordination, while the expression of benevolent condescension he gives you would be more at home on the face of a king. Good afternoon, he says, bowing slightly. I am Sangoline, and this is my store, Sangoline's Fittings. Welcome. How may I be of service? Tell me about Government Square. Of course, sir. He puts a finger on his chin. Let me think. There's Council Tower just over there, and the Order of Truth, and you can just forget the red thicket. That walled courtyard on the edge of the square, or were you curious about our fountain here? Tell me about Council Tower. It is an ancient beyond reckoning. The tower's roots go all the way down to the forges in the underbelly, and within it sits the Council of Sacred Cliffs, the finest, fairest legislative body in the Ninth World, and I don't say that just because they are my most valued patrons. They run the city well for centuries, and thanks to me, they look magnificent while doing it. What can you tell me about the Order of Truth? They are a credit to our city, wise scholars and deep thinkers. He smiles. Excellent customers as well. They're very particular about their robes. We did that part already. What is the red thicket? Well, in regards to the Council Tower, he says, it is the seat of our wise and magnanimous rulers. The Council has governed our city since the legendary days of Chila the Great. The Whispering Wood, I call it, a very curious and ancient place. You can speak as loudly as you like in there, and none but your partner can hear you. A great place for diplomacy. Okay, tell me about the fountain. One of the stranger and more poignant attractions in the square. The creatures in it are called Jallies, and they chatter in 1,000 dead tongues. The priests say that a new Jalli is born each time an old language dies. He shakes his head. You could listen to them for a month and never hear the same language twice, or understand a single one. Let me ask something else. Certainly, sir. Tell me what you know about the people in the district. I'm not one to gossip, sir, but if you insist, what do you wish to know about? Son of a bitch, you won't tell us what we need to know. What do you sell here? I sell the finest city wear for discerning men and women, as well as quality armor for those traveling to less civilized locales. He clears his throat and directs your attention to a well-dressed mannequin wearing the badge of a city official. Also, it is our honor to have been chosen to provide the city of Sagas Cliffs with the official badges worn by all properly credentialed city employees. You may trust in their trust in us. Can I buy an official badge? Wait until Sangaling isn't looking to try to steal the badge from the mannequin. Let's ask him if we can buy the badge first. City badges are not for sale to anyone. They are given to duly elected or appointed public servants of Sagas Cliffs, and it is illegal for me to give them to anyone who does not work for the city. It would be breaking the law, he considers. Of course, most public servants do offer me some remuneration for their materials, but no. I will not take the risk, nor betray my trusts. He scanned his thoughts. Too risky. About 80 shins worth of risk, I'd wager. Ah, but you won't be breaking the law, my friend. Here has just been made Undersecretary to Overseer Yin. A messenger should be coming shortly with his letter to commission. But you know how Yin is, always a bit sloppy with his paperwork. That's alright, Tabir. He'll hear soon enough. Sangaline means late won't be a problem, will it? Thank you, Tabir, but that's asking too much of this gentleman. Perhaps we could mitigate to risk him. What about something else? He laughed softly. Friend, you are no city official. All those questions you ask me betray your ignorance. He spread his hands wide. I bear you no ill will, but I cannot simply give you a city official's badge. Okay, let's try to do the quick fingers. I'm gonna try. Seeing what you're up to, Tabir distracts Sangaline by asking him about a beautiful waistcoat. While they're both turned away from you, you pluck the badge off the mannequin. Sangaline turns back to you just as you hide it. He suspects nothing.
Making a note.
Is that all for today? Can I interest you in our fine collection of armor, perhaps? Farewell, Sangaline. But let's read the badge first. This metal badge was meant to be worn by a city official of Sagas Cliffs. It is inscribed with the seal of the Protectorate. Alright, now that we have the quest, now that I have the badge of a city official, I can try to obtain an old stay of execution from the council clerk in the government square. Tabir wants a copy of the document that can be pardoned a notorious gangster, Cole Cardine. Okay. So the clerk, he said, I believe, was... Wait, where is the clerk? So this is Government Square. This is the petitioner. Okay, the clerk has got to be right here if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Behind a lectern, a four-eyed, hairless mutant processes paper with balletic grace, his endlessly snapping the elegant fingers of his left hand, and each time the air twists and shimmers, either disgorging a document to be processed or accepting one that he's completed with his ink-stained right hand. Each of his eyes regards as distinct object, portals that are opening, preambles, and recitals that must be reviewed. His own addenda that must be flawless. One eye twitches in your direction. Exaggerated scorn twists his mouth, and though his eyes remain fixed on your face, he gives no verbal acknowledgement. The closest he comes is a faint sigh. At last, after shunting a half-dozen more documents to some distant cubby, he condescends to speak. You must wait, of course, until council matters conclude. His quarter gaze leaves you. His face returns to its formal equanimity, and he continues his work, which shows no evidence of slacking, let alone concluding. How long do you expect council business to take? The clerk rolls his idle eye skyward and answers in a voice that feigns having been worn down by endless pestering petitioners, though as far as you can see, you're the only one bold enough to bother him. Consider in so vast a city what ordinances must be registered, contracts memorialized, indictments docketed, discoveries catalogued, edicts promulgated, memoranda routed, applications processed, permits issued, titles recorded, forms such consideration. You must draw your own conclusions. Alright, I'll just let you talk. I'd just like to talk to you for a short moment. Is there anything I can do to hurry things along? The clerk continues his masterful shuffling of papers from one portal to another, flickering a closed scroll through the gateway with a particular deft gesture. Then he turns not one but two eyes your way. If you're inquiring whether I will let your sweating butcher's fingers touch the council's paperwork, I fear for the state of your mind. His eyes look away and he adds, of course, it is customary to render a small gratuity in thanks to civil service. One eye quickly glances back. Do you really think I'm going to pay a bribe? Let's try persuasion. Scatter his papers to get him to pay attention to you. I assure you that my matters are important enough to be warned. Let's try to do this. I'm gonna have to use all these points. Fuck it. The clerk conveys his personal regard for the importance of your matters with a long, loud sigh, but he focuses one of his eyes on you and replies, very well, very well. Let us weigh the worth of your needs, shall we? What is it that you want? I'd like to ask some general questions. A faint sigh is the only acknowledgement you receive. Who are you and what exactly are you doing with all of those papers? I am neither a tourist attraction nor a docent. He sniffs, but the irritation of his voice is only a thin disguise for the obvious pleasure he takes at your interest. He elaborates. I am the council clerk, and onto me falls the responsibility of directing the fate of every official document in Saga's Cliffs. His tone becomes wholly boastful as he continues. I am the mind that channels the blind, nervous impulses of the city and turns it into muscular attention. He preens, adding a certain flair to his routing of the paperwork. Nature, of course, provides every being with its proper niche, and here my power to bend space, my divisible vision, and my unerring integrity allow me to carry out a task no other in the ninth world would possibly undertake. He sighs, but with rapture, not exasperation. A venal man, a distractible man, an ordinary man would break beneath the temptation and strain, but not I. With that, his bureaucratic scrawl returns. What exactly is the council? How does it govern Saga's Cliffs? The clerk sniffs. Paper governs Saga's Cliffs. Paper allows the few to rule over the many. Paper allows the many to organize into a single whole. Authority resides in dictas, compact's agenda. That means by which thoughts are refined, disseminated, and preserved. In a calmer voice he adds, of course, the council has a part as well. Each of the great slave families sends a representative, and they dicker and bicker until they form the will embodied in paper, and I am the clerk. You must have uncovered some fascinating stories about the city and all of this paperwork. Let's do this one first. Why exactly would an overburdened clerk be able or willing to recite the city's sad tale of decline? Then a certain twinkle appears in all four of his eyes, and he begins to speak. Here's what the documents themselves reveal, not in their words, but in their very selves. He works fast as he tells the story. Centuries ago, the ninth world was fresh. The city began. Its founders kept meticulous records, all lost. Only the columbarium that held them remains. A time of aristocrats followed. Each paterfamilias traced his lineage to ancient heroes and inscribed these lies in stone. Today those tablets pave the midden heaps built in the wake of Chila's rebellion. He clucks his tongue in the States. That came later. First came the Tabath, and as they laid siege to Saga's cliffs, the city's records degraded. Like hygiene and decency, proper documentation falters in long years of terror. With a shrug and no detail, he adds, but the siege failed and the Tabath vanished. Oh shit, he's talking about our boy down there who remains dormant. Next, an age of decadence, the long gestating consequence of the aristocracy, ever more outlandish choices. In screeds they laid out their reasons to the people, not to explain but to mock. He smirks. Naturally, rebellion followed. Chila cast down the old lords and raised up new slave families. An empire expanded, contracted. Holidays and boulevards changed names. All else persisted, corruption most of all. At last a new clerk came, bringing order, he bows. And here we are. You must have uncovered some fascinating stories about the city and all of this paperwork. Naturally, the clerk replies, but for a moment, notions of privacy and probably keep him quiet. Then one of his eyes flicks in your direction and you can see he's avid to indulge the twin pleasures of the voyeur and gossip. There's this, from an ambassador sent to the Steadfast. He snaps his fingers, summons the dispatch, clears his throat and reads. Today with great ceremony, the Aeon priests buried a man said to have lived for 277 years. I asked how this grey beard had lasted so long, and was told as follows. 300 years ago there was a painting of spectacular beauty hung in the Durk Hall, a relic from before the Ninth World. For reasons unknown, the work was incomplete. The Amber Pope believed that if finished, it would reveal a truth about human nature that had eluded all intellectual inquiry. He proclaimed that whatever painter could complete it would receive a cipher that would enable him to live for 250 more years. Great artists flocked to the Durk Hall to examine the masterpiece, but when they saw it, none dared lift the brush. At last, a young whitewasher approached, carrying brushes and rollers and buckets of paint. I can finish this, he declared. The Amber Pope nodded, and the boy flung an entire bucket of paint across the canvas. The blank region was filled, but the painting was splattered with white, its majesty gone. The Pope held his bow and bestowed longevity upon the whitewasher. He was, however, borne to the torture pits below the Durk Hall, where he remained until that very day, when at last his long life ceased. The clerk folds the faded dispatch, returns it to its envelope, and sends it away, saying no more. A faint sigh is the only acknowledgement you receive. I'm trying to obtain a letter of pardon for a man named Reese who's been wrongfully sentenced. In order to put a stop to a wrongful punishment, I need to stay the execution issued for Cole Cardine. Let's try to use this one and hopefully it lets us through. I only have 1 point. Okay, fingers crossed. The clerk hesitates for a moment, then shrugs. It happens that the letter was consigned to destruction by year's end. Anyway, given the confirmation of Cardine's demise, with a snap of his fingers, a letter appears and he looks it over. Yes, here we are. Quite the criminal he was, and no slouch in treason. But who am I to question the clemency of our peerless counsel? He hands it to you with a slight sniff. Let me check it for errors. Tibir snaps with an angry look at the clerk. Of course I shouldn't have to. But we wouldn't be here today if a mistake hadn't been made by someone in a position of authority. Why are you provoking him? Here, we're doing this here. I'm not comfortable with this. You delightful maniac. Tibir chuckles low in his chest. I think we're going to get along well, you and I. You feel him writing something on the document, presumably Reese's names, before slipping it into your pouch and giving it a polite little cough to catch the counsel's clerk's attention. Everything appears to be in order, he says, mouth set in stern line. I meant no offense, of course. You acquired this letter of pardon from the council clerk. It grants a stay of execution for a criminal named Cole Cardine, whose principal crime appears to have been treason. This paper is old and it looks like it passed through many hands, but it is certainly legitimate.
I'll remember that.
The clerk turns a single angry eye to Beer's way. Of course I understand, he says, his voice shaking. The eye moves to you. Do we have any other matters to discuss? I am quite busy today. We're good, baby boy. We are good. The clerk gives no acknowledgement that he heard and merely continues his work. Alright, so we are pretty much almost done with that part of this quest. And probably for part 3 we're going to go ahead and explore the rest of the other NPCs. But for now, let's go ahead and save Reese, and let's see if we have everything we need for that quest. Tibir has forged a stay of execution for Reese. Now I can bring it to the Overseer and the execution in time to release the prisoner. Alright, Reese, my boy. So I'm assuming at this point we are going to be able to pick up random NPCs either in town or outside of town who will follow us as companions, but very, very intricate conversations that they have set up for us with each NPC. So I can only imagine once we're done with this quest, then probably tomorrow or later on today, I'll do part 3 and try to follow that quest line for that biomechanical, bioengineered monster that was in the center of the town in the first level. And then we'll probably go ahead and speak with the other NPCs and see if they give us any other quests to complete. But let's see what cutscene they give us as far as releasing Reese. Hopefully there's a positive outcome from all of this, and you know, they don't go all mad and crazy. At least we were able to save him, so he was definitely on this side. No, that's not it. It's on this side. Let's speak to Levi. This man is large and broad-shouldered, and his steel armor is painted in the silver and indigo colors of Saga's cliffs. He seems to be an ordinary soldier or constable of the city. Too ordinary, perhaps. As you scan his face, you see that his features are plain, forgettable, almost generic. Not only that, his eyes are a little too large, his mouth too firmly fixed upon his face. He may look human, but his mind feels like a complete blank. Are you with the City Watch? The soldier peers at you, smile never leaving his face. You must be a stranger to the city, perhaps from one of the autochthonous tribes along the frontier. Allow me to welcome you to Saga's Cliffs, visitor. He speaks the final word like a little, almost an honorific. I am Levi. You may rely upon me and others like me for protection and assistance, at the discretion of the council and the slave families. What is happening here? An execution for treason ordered by acclamation of the council. The condemned man is guilty of selling state secrets for a foreign power. The man named Tibir over there seems to be involved in Reese's crime. I won't mention that. You call yourself a leader, what does that mean? Every citizen is required to raise a levy for the protection of the city. In times of war or strife, citizens are sometimes called upon to raise additional levies. But this has not been required since the Dread Destroyer crossed the northern frontier 34 years ago. If you saw the face of this man on the streets of the city, you wouldn't glance at him twice. His features are utterly ordinary and forgettable, not too ugly, not too handsome. It is indeed almost like he is an average of many thousands of men. Their idiosyncrasies and imperfections merge into a bland middle ground. The exceptions, of course, are the eyes, which are just a bit too large for the face, and the fixed, ever-present smile. Taken together, the man's features give you a vague sense of unease. Let's see what the consuls and the slave families, do they govern the city? Indeed so, each slave family sends one representative, usually the head of the family, to sit on the council, which are required to follow their commands. I'd like to go up to the platform. I'm afraid that is not permitted during an execution. Levi's smile never falters. If you wish, you may appeal to the official in charge. He points to the stocky man who stands at the projecting edge of the execution platform dressed in indigo finery. So you really serve the council, not the people of the city? A brief pause. Yes, that is correct. Farewell. The overseer of the execution raises an eyebrow as you show him your badge of office. Yes, sir, he says. How can I help you? We scan his thoughts. A magistrate? What is he doing here? This man has a full pardon. Release him immediately. He looks over the stay of the execution, paying close attention to the signature. Finally, he nods. This is all in order. One moment. He turns and calls to the levies. Unmake the death of the condemned and set him free. He is pardoned. Ah, shit. What? He turns back to you and bows. There you are, sir. All taken care of.
I'm ready to learn something new.
As the levies march off and the crowd disperses, Reese steadies himself, not quite recovered from his ordeal. Finally, he raises his head and focuses on you. If you're the one who got me out of that nightmare, thank you. But where's that? His eyes settle on Tavir. There you are, you slippery bastard. Now, where's the money? If I went through that hell for nothing, I'll... We scan his thoughts. The bastard left me out dry, I know it. He chokes with emotion. A whole day to beer. I spilled my guts up there for a whole day. He steps back, spreading his hands. Yes. About the money. You see, Reese, I was hoping to get a reward for returning in the fellow who sold us that brandy without telling us about its secrets, but... But? Reese snarls. There's always a but when it comes to money, isn't there? I should have known. You only said you pay me so I wouldn't squeal on you. And you only saved my skin to save your own. He smacks his fists together. Now, am I going to have to fight through your friend to get to you? Or are you going to step out from behind him and take it like a man? Calm down, both of you. Reese, tell it from the beginning. Reese spits, then wipes his lips. There isn't much to tell. Captain Silvertongue here talked me into a dirty job, then disappeared like an abacus and left me holding the bag when it all went sour. Oh, Reese, says Tabir. Can you blame me for running when I had the chance? You would have done the same. And besides, if I hadn't, we wouldn't have both been sentenced to die, with no one to free either of us. We scan his thoughts. Lucky that. If my tattooed friend hadn't come along, we'd both be executed in any case. He stabs a finger into Beer's face. You only wanted to free me because you knew you'd be next on the block once the Devourer ate me. How would the Devourer of Wrongs know that Tavir was involved? The Dendra Ohur, says Reese, consume our memories with our flesh. They know everything by the time they're finished eating us, and Tabir knew I'd have plenty of memories of him, didn't you? You coward. Who are the Dendra Ohur? Cultists who eat human flesh to gain the wisdom of the dead. Rest shivers. The city's been using them as post-mortem judges for years. What was the job? Tabir said we were transporting black market booze to Mirajuelos, but he didn't tell me that he'd hidden state secrets in one of the bottles using some liquid Numenera trick, which turned a slap on the wrist crime into a damned death sentence. Death sentence? Tabir says with an uneasy grin. You're alive, aren't you? We scan his thoughts. I would told him eventually. Ignorance was supposed to keep him safe. He glares at Tabir from under lowered brows. That's as may be, but you certainly seem to know when the levies were going to come calling. He looks at you. The council somehow got wind of the deal and came after us. Funny how I was the only one home when they knocked on the door. The Devourer would have found you guilty? Tibir, is this true? As far as it goes, he would have learned about me if he had eaten Reese, and I did manage to escape the levies when they showed up looking for us, but I didn't abandon you, lad. He puts his hand to his heart. Reese, I escaped the levies and saved you from the Devourer of Wrong because I love you and did not want to see you die. You have to believe me. We scan his thoughts. Escaping the levies was just good luck. That much is true. Do I? Reese asks, crackling his knuckles. He's the one who has suffered here. That's right, Reese snarls. And you can start by giving me my share of the spoils. Reese, you don't know what you're talking about. I never got paid, I promise you. This isn't over, you self-serving bastard. Reese jabs a finger into Beer's face. Hide behind your friend if you like, but he won't keep you safe forever. Damn, you're dead, Tibir. Do you hear me? Dead. Wow. Alright, I guess we will leave it there, but thank you for tuning in, and you know, I appreciate the views, and we'll continue with part 3 later on today in the afternoon, and we'll speak with the rest of the NPCs, but don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later on today. This is Coco signing off. Thank you for coming by, and I'll see you then. Peace!